gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in for the Positively Awesome podcast. It is yours, truly, the Drip King, and I am joined, as always, by the man, Tidey. Tidey, how are you doing this evening? Oh,
I'm spinning, man. I'm doing all right, man.
whose
Talk
time is
John
it?
Cena stuff. It's gonna be a little hard to talk about, but they'll find out why when I open my mouth in the second part. John Cena.
Man, that man got some drip, and I'm gonna take it from him. I need that. I need that on this wrist tomorrow. But I'll have to find my own. I'll get my own. It'll be all good. That is a nice piece of jewelry. Looking good, guys. Thank you. And then good evening, gentlemen. Thank you, David, for
Hey,
joining us. So let's just get into it. Last week, between the shows, what up? What up? What up? What was your favorite moment from last week's great week of wrestling? Honestly, it was good all the way around. So, what you
let
got?
me let me think about it. Let me sit here and think about it. Watch. Oh man, it was kind of hard. I mean, I think it was like kind of a midweek title for me because it seems like Seth has plenty of good opponents right now. Ali's gonna keep being that fly to get swatted,
I
but
don't, I don't, I don't know. I don't know. With him over on SmackDown, I don't know what they're doing with him.
I was gonna say though he had such a damn good match with Ricochet. I
Oh,
mean, you couldn't help but be proud because whether it was like main event or NXT, other shows that did in the dark, it was I kept hearing that him and Ali and Ricochet were tearing the house down,
yeah, yeah.
and
I'm hearing that.
they have crazy chemistry. So I was happy for Ali in that. So he's gonna show up on Raw again and try to step to somebody. Bobby's gonna hurt him, but Bobby clearly, it's like Theory did the opposite of what I mean. Well, Theory did the same thing Bobby did the week before. He just comes out and crushes somebody, interrupts again by the end of it. So I was really happy for like all the mid card stuff. Even though it's like it's gonna come down to probably Escobar and Strowman for the IC title,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
World
yeah.
Cup they're doing.
Definitely.
Um, which I won Escobar, but man, I think you're right again. It would be better to see Strowman get beat to death by Gunther. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a moment.
What's more impressive to just like a untrained eye? Gunther beating down Braun Strowman or Gunther beating down Escobar?
So because of favorite moments, I couldn't really pick those. And this may be my favoritism. I was sitting around thinking for a couple minutes, like, do I really have favoritism for NXT? Let me tell you
Yes.
why. Let me tell you why I don't, Jimmy. Because of the announcement. What is this thing called? Iron Survivor Challenge.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
That if you don't remember the rules, you said you watched NXT, but the rules are dope because it's two men start every 5 minutes, another man comes out, and it's gonna be a man and woman's iron. I have to read this because it's so different.
Let's
Iron
go wrong.
Survivor Challenge. Um, but you got to get as many pinfalls. But if you get pinned or submitted, or I don't know how the DQ even plays in it because he brought that up as a point as a DQ. It's got to be if you get DQ'd and you get pissed off, it's a loss. But they put you into like a little hockey thing
Yeah,
and for 90 seconds. But the thing is, how many? So the the fifth person will come in at the 15th minute. They got 10 minutes. So building up to this, they're going to have to try to make a way to who's going to get the top spots because you want to be number one and number two.
yeah.
But it's got me interested because of just kind of the example NXT. Mandy Rose, fire promo. Zoe Stark, I had to watch it twice. Fire promo because it was everything her character was, and why screw Nikita kind of thing. It's a little harsh, but
I'm
whatever.
glad you're sticking to your guns on that one because I saw a lot of people crapping on Zoe Stark's promo.
No,
I wasn't with it, but you're sticking by your guns with it, and I you know what? I respect it.
and I tell you why, because I watched it twice. I thought, dude, that was my first impression too. I'm like, she doesn't seem that comfortable, but I don't think it was really that. She was really trying to stick to the message of this is why I carried Nikita, and it all started with the women's tag team tournament for WWE. They threw them in there, and she made the point. They didn't even pick Caden and Carter. They didn't even pick toxic attraction, even though I
Yeah.
thought they were going to be that. But I like how she had a thing against Nikita, of carrying on her back, and some realism of like, hey, you're not that fluid in the ring, basically, and I'm kind of calling you out.
Yeah.
I carried you and whatever. Watching it back, I thought it was a great promo of knowing who Zoe Stark is, because she's been getting airtime, etc. Anyways, the whole point
That's
of
a
why.
great connection you made. I just want to point this out. That's a great connection you made, because I didn't catch it when I saw it, about her using the fact that, like, hey, they called us up to the tag title tournament. They didn't call up the champs or them. They
Nope.
called us, and that's because of me. I didn't catch that, and that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's
she said it was a meeting. Like, we had a meeting, and you're gonna go over here, and kind of bad news, I got to carry Nikita. So I asked her to do this, and that. I come back, they didn't win. I come back, I get hurt, and Nikita's like, "Hey, it happens, this and that," and she starts to spout off, pissed off. Says she's undeniable at the end. Anyways, I love me some Zoe Stark, because she's wasn't really missing something. I was always okay, but for that next level, she's not even trying to say I'm a heel. She kept making a big deal of saying I'm not angry. I'm not angry. It's just right now it's Zoe Stark's time. It's not NXT's not about the future anymore.
Yeah.
It's about Zoe Stark. And anyways, I thought it was perfect for her character. I need to stop, man. I had a point. Iron
my bad. I
Survivor
just wanted to
Challenge.
point something out. My bad.
It's all good. Iron Survivor Challenge. The whole point was, the reason why I'm so impressed with it, because everybody from Grayson Waller, even though I haven't really seen him in a week, whatever, Duke Hudson, Andre Chase, Zoe is in a stride now. Dryad finally hit a stride, which is known as the Schism, but they keep calling him the Dryad, whatever. But that's really important, because after they got The Rock's daughter with her, Ava Raine, they've been so much more damn interesting. They had a really good interview, because it was kind of just like, wasn't really hitting.
I'm glad they kind of changed the. I'm glad he's back in wrestling gear. That little difference right there is the world to me.
No, it is, man.
Yeah.
Not everybody can pull off Mr. IRS, man.
Yeah.
Not Bray Wyatt's father. But Grayson Waller, A-Kid, Charlie Dempsey, the Creeds, Carmelo, Mandy, Wendy, Zoe, Indy, and Isla Dawn. I was trying to look it up. I kept seeing little videos that Isla Dawn finally came to NXT, and I couldn't find one, but whatever.
You want to know what happened?
Yeah, what the hell happened? What is
Okay,
going on
so
with that?
Mandy Rose was put onto the announcer's table, and Alba Fire was climbing up the ladder, and as she was going to go up, Isla Dawn turned her around, spit mist into her face, and then Mandy moved. Alba Fire hit the table, and that's how she lost. That's how she couldn't answer the 10 count.
Because that's huge, man. Isla Dawn was I would say, the most talented person there as a wrestler in the NXT UK. So I was like, man, why didn't they bring Isla? Like, clearly, and she's so good for a character. All these people, Tiffany Stratton, Kiana James, even Roxanne Perez, finally getting some really good babyface thing going. It's finally hitting a stride. The reason I say this, because the Iron Survivor Challenge, whoever gets the most points, these are 5 different people on each side, women's, men's.
Yeah.
That is first time they're doing this. That is huge bragging rights.
Okay.
Whoever can do this, whether they're going to push a new star or someone that's somewhat established, it's going to be a big deal. And I love how the rules work out. And everybody on NXT that I want to start flourishing has done that. Everybody's finally hitting a stride. It's all even Duke Hudson, dude. I'm loving Duke Hudson right now because of the thing he did with Andre Chase. I don't know, man. I'm starting to like it. I'm liking his character there.
It would have been cool to see Bodie still be a part of it, but
yeah, Bodie's cool, man. But whoever these people are that go into this match, which they're going to set up for the next couple of weeks, and who's going to have the advantage and be the first 2 to get the most falls, this is going to be really big bragging rights. I cannot not see Mello in it. Maybe her personality, she'll want to be in it, or she'll be like, let these other clowns fight. I'm the champ. Champ's got a day off. She can always say that. But this is really big news for especially a breakout. And the last thing, JD. JD was getting chanted JD after that Spanish Fly in the ring. He's a bad guy. He's supposed to be creepy. They keep using the word creepy because he's got those beady eyes
and that helmet head.
and he whatever. He's doing that character so well, but he shouldn't organically be getting over. I know, whatever.
He is creepy, bro. Look at that.
He shouldn't organically be getting over with the crowd like this, man. But they've noticed his wrestling the last like 7 weeks in a row. He's undeniably undeniable. Just like Zoe said, I'm undeniable. But that's my moment. That Iron Survivor Challenge means everything that I want for these up-and-coming NXT stars. If whoever gets the most wins in this and the first time ever, or most pins, falls, whatever, that's going to be really big bragging rights for whoever does this. So that's a really big moment for me this week.
What the heck? Okay. So, get these real quick, and I got a question for you. So they should let Zoe freestyle a bit more on the mic. I think she may have the talent for the script. It's hard to tell if she was reading a script on that one though, because
I couldn't tell you.
I kind of feel like she just kept repeating herself, and I don't know if that's a script thing. That seems to be something people do when they kind of get a little nervous and they don't know where to go, and they kind of just ramble, kind of like at the end of my Raw recaps where I'm just keep going and going because I don't know what to go to next. I feel like that's what that was. They may have gave her some bullet points or something, or maybe it was a script and she just was on repeat for a minute because she did repeat herself like 3 or 4 times. But maybe they just need to get her more comfortable. I think she don't seem comfortable with the microphone in her hand. They just need to find a way to make her comfortable. I find is a much better character than she is in the ring. I've never seen her wrestle. I can't speak on it. I will say the character, she's a witch. Is that what she is? Okay. Yep. So she looked kind of like Poison Ivy. Just she's a Poison Ivy witch. I don't know.
But she dabbles in the dark arts, Harry Potter.
I'll say this. After watching NXT this past week. Oh, wait. No, the question. Sorry, before I go into that. Question. This Eliminator Survivor, or whatever we're calling it. I don't know. Remember the name. Which number do you think has the advantage in this match?
It would be either the second person to come in after the first 5 minutes of the 2 people being in would have the best
person.
The third person who comes in would probably be the best. But if you're a man or really good at what you're doing, you'd want to be number 1 or 2.
Carmelo's going to be number 1 for sure. He's definitely going to be number 1.
He's going to carry it.
He's their star there. JD probably be number 2. Let them carry the whole match because they essentially both have to be in there the whole time. But yeah, three is what I thought was the prime position to be in because you could just kind of go in and pick the bones at that point on the first 2 who just beat the hell out of each other trying to get pins. So, but I was going to say NXT, since I watched it this week, it did just enough to get me to say, if I can, I will tune in again this week. I won't actively look for something else to do like I tend to do other Tuesdays, but it was just good enough. So teeny bit of hope right there that I might get interested in it again, but we shall see. Kingston, I'll give this a shout because it was a very cool moment. Kingston versus Akiyama for me and all the matches I've seen this year. Cross promotions, this match made me the happiest. Eddie's Raw Passion, my moment of the week. So Tidey, Eddie Kingston, this guy Akiyama is the guy that like clicked him onto wrestling back when he was a young kid watching wrestling. It's like that. This is why I want to wrestle. So he got to wrestle him one-on-one at the pay-per-view last night, and he got to beat him in the middle of the ring, and it was just a really cool moment. And you can tell how special it was because Eddie Kingston is a very emotional guy, and he's not afraid to show it. And like you can see him tearing up and thanking him and hugging him, all that other stuff. So it was a cool moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that belongs on this show because that was awesome in a very positive way. That was stupid. So my moment. I don't think we've talked about it enough lately. I don't think we've touched on it in like 4 weeks. So I feel like I can talk about it again. We're not just flooding the Positively Awesome podcast with just us talking about Sami Zayn every week. We took the break. It's time to bring it back. because what I watched on SmackDown between the Bloodline and Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and the Brawling Brutes was prime time television, baby. It doesn't get better than that. It does not get any better than that. There's nothing you can tell me is on TV or on some app that I go watch, whatever 20 million apps that have these shows on them. And, no show on any of these things is better than what's going on with the Bloodline right now. It's that damn good. There's moments we know we're going to cry when Sammy gets his heart broken. We're laughing all the time. When stuff gets serious, when you piss off Daddy Roman and he's got to put y'all in check, it's like it's got everything included in it. And it just got better because we're bringing in Sami Zayn's greatest rival and friend into the mix. And now he's conflicted. He's not all about, oh, well, I'll do anything to keep Roman happy. Now he's like, man, I can't do this to Kevin. So now we got the confliction. And it's right on time for War Games, and it's going to be so amazing. I don't have any more words for it. It's so damn good. I'm curious, since you've watched wrestling, I want to know how far back this can go, or how highly this ranks to you. Has there ever been a storyline you were a bigger fan of than the Bloodline stuff right now?
Let me give the past wrestling some credit, and let me give like 3 seconds of thought.
Okay, you're good. You're good.
No, there isn't. No, there's nothing, dude. I mean, there is nothing. Period. I mean, how you not gonna love Sami Zayn, the new face that runs the place? How does, and it's not just people that I hear that talk about like, oh, it won't last forever, but yet he's stuck in there, and I've never been so emotionally involved in a character to see something good happen for the character. Sammy in real life, it's crossed that bridge. I hope everything goes right for Sammy in real life. Even though right now it's like, I just want to see good things happen for his character. I want the Bloodline to approve of him. And then now the Bloodline approves of him, we got to think about, hey, what's going to happen now?
There's no greater test that Sammy could be put through than what we're about to see.
Oh, and it's going to be great. That's a good way of putting it.
That's going to be great because in the end, I feel like he's going to fight Kevin in the War Games, and he's going to choose his side with the Bloodline. But then he's going to lose, and the Bloodline is going to think it was set up because Kevin Owens is the guy that pins him. And then now that Sammy has officially picked the side of the Bloodline just in time for them to say, you know what? And they kick him out.
No.
There's no more heartbreaking way to do the split up. To have him finally choose the side and then they don't accept you because, hey, you got caught up in a battle and you lost. So they don't accept you anymore, even though you just threw everything you had at them, and they're like, nope, that's heartbreaking.
I think any way he leaves is going to be at least kind of detrimental to my health, but I think that's a really good one. But I do have another one. I think it's the whole thing of, like you said, like say this goes down and then Roman, tells them to turn on him, but Sammy won't leave the ring or something, and then they commence to beat on him. Because you want to make that in front of a crowd, so where the crowd reacts. And Sammy will emote, as we know. He's going to emote if he loses to Kevin as well. And it's going to be priceless because him and Bray Wyatt have the best emotions on their face. I mean, but if it happens now, which, I don't know how long everybody's been talking about this for whatever reason, but I give props to you. That's a good way of putting it. This is the biggest test you could have put on any wrestler. You're going to go into the Bloodline, the den of jackals, and the best thing on television, and you're going to have to hang with them. 2, it's not just the Bloodline. I mean, remember, Bloodline's got Paul Heyman in it. That's a big shadow as well. And then you're going to have to be cohesively integrated into all this to be entertaining. But yet now it's gone so much further.
Yeah.
It's a full-on story, which you wouldn't have thought he'd be able to do. So I mean, just for that alone, man, give Sammy the belt. Give him two of these belts.
Who's been preaching it longer than Jimmy? Who's been preaching it longer than Jimmy Bebe?
No,
Nobody.
you
Nobody.
done said it. I mean, I agreed. I was there. I was like,
You was with me. You was with. You
I'm,
wasn't. You wasn't a naysayer. I still get some naysayers. I still get them. I'm like, bro, don't be putting that into the universe. I don't want to hear nothing of it.
if someone emotionally punches me in the gut this much, this many times, week after week, where I literally have fallen in love with this person, um, how is it not the time to make that push?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's so organic.
Unless you just wanted to get people to really hate Roman even more, and you just give Sammy that moment, and then just give him just a little big enough tease to where we're like, it's happening, and then get snatched away, and Roman beats him, and then you're like, yo, I really despise this man right now. That's another way you could go with it, but I don't think they're trying to get
No,
more heat on Roman at this point. I think he's where he's at, and it's perfect because
yeah, he doesn't need
he's
extra
the
heat.
heel, but he's making tons of money for them with his merch. He's at he's at a John Cena like level with the his position. So you don't want to mess with that. I don't think you would want to do that. So, um, but yeah. But on top of that, I want to give some shout outs to other things because last week every bit of wrestling I watched, I just enjoyed. The Full Gear pay per view was really good. Dynamite, best go home show for for one of their pay per views in a very long time. It's been a while since there's been a good go home show, and they had a really good one this past week. I even enjoyed Rampage, which is the show that everyone says don't watch. Nobody watches. It was good this week. SmackDown, obviously, Raw. I love it. Awesome week wrestling. I like all the complaints I have are like kind of nitpicky, but I was thoroughly enjoyed all week. So that's just great news to me. I'm just so happy that it was hard to pick a good moment.
Same. That's why I
Kind
picked the Iron Survivor Challenge.
I just got excited because we hadn't talked about the Sami Zayn bloodline stuff. I was like, I have to pick it. But there's other things because the Austin Theory thing is another thing I really thought about as my top. But nah, Sammy had to take. But now we are going to move along to the next segment where we discuss John Cena going to Hollywood, WrestleMania 39. Who do we think? Who do we think John Cena will be wrestling at WrestleMania? And if you got it, who you would like him to wrestle at WrestleMania? He said he had a very hard time with this one. So obviously, I'm going to go ahead and let him take the floor first to put the pressure on.
All right. All
Who
right.
do you think John Cena will be wrestling at WrestleMania?
Pen and paper can't help you with this one. There's no solution. There's no equation for this. There's been nobody. There's only one that has like a rightful way of doing it. So I'm going to try to break down mentally now of the stupid list I had to create. I want Cena to be a 17-time world champion, but that's not. I know it's not going to happen because it can't be against Roman. So then I thought, how do we take a couple belts off Roman? That's going to be a big if because I can see Roman holding it for 1,000 to 2,000 days or until Sammy, Canada and what we want. But so that can't happen. Can't be versus Roman. So it has to be someone else who takes the belt. But then it just doesn't really make too much sense. And then I thought maybe he'll get somebody over. And there's like two people that I want to get over to get a good spot. I mean, you can say, I know John Cena will be like, he'll help out anybody. If Triple H is like, hey, man, I really want you to do this or fight this person. John Cena is probably going to be like, I'll do it for you. He's a company man.
I feel like John's been that way ever since he worked with The Rock. I think Rock kind of put that into his head because John used to not be that reluctant. There's been a few he prevented. But I feel like after working with Rock kind of like maybe spoke some sense into him to make him understand how much more important it could be for John Cena's character. to allow the vulnerability of losing sometimes
Yeah.
to people and of helping others out. So I think that is a big reason why. But continue. Sorry, I just thought that was an interesting
No, it's true.
point.
It's very true because I thought of The Rock as well. But we got things with Roman. But you know what? I'm not finished. I want more satisfaction of them destroying each other because there's the history. They had their 2 times, whatever. But then that's just too predictable again. And then it's going to make the fans upset that, hey, we wanted The Rock versus, Roman. So that's off the list of things that Tidey would like. So I got Sheamus. All right. Well, how would that ever come to be? Somehow Sheamus in a 5-way fight, the Royal Rumble takes one of the belts. I don't know. They're both old. They're both veterans, but Sheamus can go ×3 probably of John, and somehow they would find a way to create something, and that's not going to happen. So I can't pick Sheamus.
I do think Sheamus, since he is so much better now, I think they could have probably their best match they've had. I don't know if they've had many classics, but I do think that with Sheamus being at the spot he's at now, I think they would have a phenomenal match. But yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah, AJ Styles already done that. Don't ruin the last Royal Rumble match they had because it was freaking perfect. So there's
Chef's
no
kiss.
reason to reopen that for some reason. Seth. Seth could be busy with Cody, or Seth could be busy with one of those belts at this time, for all we know.
United States Open Challenge.
Yeah,
John
it's
Cena
open.
accepts it.
Stop it.
That I'm just
They.
saying there is a way to get to that. I don't
Oh yeah.
want
Oh yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes.
I don't. I'm just pointing out there is a way to get to that that is logical. He's doing an open challenge. Who made the open challenge for that title famous?
John
John
Cena.
Cena. So
You're
that
right.
makes sense.
That's
Don't
gonna
do
get.
it.
That's
If
gonna
you're
get
listening
too
to
twirl.
WWE, I know it sounds good. Don't do it.
Yeah. I don't think. I don't really want Seth either. So who is going to make? Like we all know, who's going to make? Oh yeah, and I said Corbin too, just to get Corbin over. But like you told me earlier, probably won't work. People were upset when he beat Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
So maybe only one left I got, man, that makes any sense is the person that talked mess to him when he came back during the reunion or whatever. It is Austin Theory. And this will give a kid a good boost at one, can I build a promo that everybody or build up to a match that everybody cares about? One,
Here you
who
go.
get expert time with him.
David says, Cena versus Theory. People saying I'm the next John Cena. I'm the one that puts Cena down once and for all. Theory goes over Cena at Mania. And putting him down once for all goes perfectly with the gimmick this man has because apparently he's just a person who's trying to commit murder in every match he's going to have because he straight up whooped up on old Dolph Ziggler this past week.
And I love that for Theory because what is better than like, not that he was doing exactly Bobby Lashley, but you look at the man, he's built and he's like, you know what, I don't need a briefcase. I can literally beat the shit out of any of these wrestlers. Watch how good I am.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was
That
fantastic for
that
him.
vicious side of him going against John Cena would be awesome. Just straight up awesome.
So that's the only one I have that really sticks, even though I want something else or would dream of something else, but it's even hard to dream of something else because like what would really get me emotionally invested? This is John Cena.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have many more of these. And of course, I was thinking 17-time championship. It ain't time for that, man. It just ain't.
I don't think
So
it'll
yeah,
ever happen.
I don't think it should happen. I want it to happen, but I don't think it should happen.
Here's why I think it won't happen. I think with Triple H now in head of creative and him
Ric
being
Flair.
a big Ric Flair fan,
Yeah.
I think he's going to do everything he possibly can to protect that legacy for Rick. So, yeah, that I don't see John ever getting another world title. But the Austin Theory one, I thought that was the one you were going to choose. That's why I allowed you to go first, so that I didn't take yours and leave you just completely. Well, I copied Jimmy, so Theory is the one I 100% think happens. It makes too much sense. The planets have aligned perfectly here. If he is the next Cena, which I've been saying since I saw the kid, and now a lot of other people are starting to see it now too. You have the look; they look similar. Like everything about it is just perfect, and to have him on the trajectory right now as John Cena is at that point where I'm still believable enough so I can beat these guys, but if I lose, it's a big deal. So
Yeah.
Austin Theory can beat him, and then that puts him at that next level that I think he's already at, but a lot of people don't think he's there. So this will put him at the level I think he's at for everyone else, and we can see what happens from there. So John Cena definitely is, and Austin Theory definitely makes the most sense. If Sheamus is coming back for a match, he has to leave someone in a better spot than they were. Theory fits that, but exactly, and for it to be the next version of him just makes it all the better. Like so, you definitely go with Austin Theory,
Damn
but
it makes sense. It makes
yeah,
good sense.
but if for whatever reason we don't do Austin Theory, maybe I don't want to put that in the universe. We just don't get Austin Theory. There's no title in this scenario either, buddy. I I'm a fan because it's at WrestleMania. We're gonna have lots of matches. Putting together my own card earlier, there's like 20 matches between two nights that could possibly happen. Like so, I don't care on a WrestleMania card if we get someone like John Cena to come in and wrestle another old person, as long as they're not wrestling a young person and beating a young person, or they're not doing it on a normal card where it takes away from them, like Backlash, where there's 6 matches and then we have to watch John Cena versus Triple H, and it's like, no, I don't want that. WrestleMania, I'm cool with it because it's a spectacle. So we now are in a position where we could get a closed chapter on a John Cena and Edge rivalry at the show of all shows. Because, in my opinion, Edge is John Cena's greatest rival. I know Randy Orton, people tend to think a little bit. There's a few. CM Punk, some people say CM Punk. Bautista, I don't think many people say Bautista. There's a few people who have. They're a little crazy, but to me, it's Edge. It's Edge. I think they're perfect opposites. At least they were during the rivalry. You had clean cut John, and you have rugged and dirty Edge. It was a nice clash. I don't know how you would do it now because I don't want to see Edge doing rated R superstar stuff as an old man. I don't want to see it. Um, is it a thing out of respect? I don't know. I want it to be an interesting storyline if they're going to go that route. Again, I don't want them to. I want them to do Austin Theory. But if it's not Austin Theory, I think Edge is the one to go with because I don't think their rivalry ever got that closed finale. Like this is done, chapter closed, books closed, on to the next one. So because I think Edge's injury cut that short. So we literally have the opportunity to now close that chapter. So second option, I'm picking Edge. I think that would be just cool. And it's not taking away from anybody because they're not gonna. If John Cena wins, you're not taking away from Austin Theory. Like if he beat Austin Theory, and Edge the same with whoever he'd face that was younger. One of them can actually get a win at WrestleMania and it not be harmful. That's you, but there's people out there who love nostalgia, and that's what WrestleMania is all about, man. They see marquee matchup like John Cena and Edge like they used to watch, and they're like, yo, I remember watching that. I'm going to tune in. I want to see that. That's all. That's what it is. Again, it's not my choice. My choice is 1,000% Austin Theory. I would be shocked and pissed if they didn't go with Austin Theory and John Cena because it just makes too much sense. It's one of those things where it's like, you better do it or I am going to actually criticize the shit out of you for it. Yeah, Austin Theory all day, and he better win. I don't want this to be one of those things where he looks good in defeat. No, he better win. He better maul John Cena.
I mean, looking good in defeat, it means you have to have a ridiculously incredible match. And I don't think John Cena can do that.
I think Austin Theory could get him there. That's how highly I think of the kid, though. But
okay, that's a good point.
I think John Cena is still at that part where he's good enough to be carried to a great match. However you get to a great match, whether it just be through story or whatever else, I think he's still good enough to be carried.
You remember that promo where he said, "I felt like I lost a step." John Cena was coming out saying, "Hey, I'm getting to the time where I may wrestle less. I know I've lost a step. I can't keep up with the younger guys anymore." Man, that was a really hard for me. That was just really hard to hear. That broke my heart a bit. I was hoping that dude would go another 4 or 5 years when he said that. I mean, Bobby Lashley is. Come on, John. You need to train with Bobby, John.
So here we go. David says if they do Edge Cena, do it in Toronto for the Edge's retirement match, and I'm 100% down for that. Like I said, I do not want it at WrestleMania. I want it there. That makes much more sense. It's a much better idea. That's perfect. I love that idea. Don't do it at WrestleMania. Do
That's
John
good.
Cena versus Austin Theory, please. But man, we rifled right through that. We rifled right through that one. So I'm gonna ask you a bonus question. Oh, go ahead. You got something?
Oh, I was gonna say, man, that's a lot because it's Hollywood for the WrestleMania. I mean, there's Rock, there's Stone Cold, there's John Cena. I mean, just hearing those three names all together, because now I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna wrestle someone old, they're gonna wrestle someone young. That's a lot of people, man, and those are like their three biggest stars. Like, and this is all supposedly supposed to happen. So it threw my mind into a different place when you said, think about John Cena. I'm like, well, shit, these are the other things to think about.
Yeah,
It was a
exactly.
lot.
Exactly. Here's one that's been floating around. I'll ask about this one since we have the time. We blew through that. So John Cena. The other name that has come out recently will be WrestleMania. Stone Cold Steve Austin. You have the generation versus the generation. To me, John Cena is higher on. He's Mount Rushmore to me. It's not The Rock. It's John Cena. A lot of people put The Rock as that fourth one. To me, it's John Cena. So to have a guy like John Cena to do it, he carried the company just like Stone Cold did, but John Cena did it for such a much longer time. So he has the claim to be the all-timer of WWE. Make sure to put that out there. Of WWE, he's the all-time greatest, the greatest of all time of WWE. He has that claim. Stone Cold, let me tell you something, son. What? He's got a claim because he did it at the absolute peak of professional wrestling. Maybe not the peak. It's the perceived peak. Like a lot of people think of the Attitude Era as like the greatest generation of wrestling, that era. So the 80s probably was a bigger deal, but then you have Hulk Hogan. We've already seen Hulk Hogan do one of these generational matches when he went against The Rock. So John Cena versus Stone Cold is just as big a deal as Stone Cold or Austin and The Rock, or John Cena and The Rock, or The Rock and Hollywood Hogan. And we don't get these matches very often. So would you be interested in seeing a John Cena versus Stone Cold match based on that crazy rant I just made?
Yeah, as long as they bring that up in the video package. You got generation versus generation. You got GOAT versus GOAT. You got
this isn't just like Austin versus just the best right now guy. John Cena was a guy that was the best for maybe longer than anybody else in WWE history. The time, the run he had as the top guy, I don't think anyone's had one longer than he did.
No.
If I'm wrong, shoot me a name. I can't think of a person that had a longer run at the top than he did.
A more recognized name. I mean, like Stone Cold was recognized in his time, like doing the shows
and Hulk Hogan. And then there's Hulk Hogan. So but again,
and of course, The Rock because of Hollywood, but John Cena is on a different plateau.
As far as the wrestling Mount Rushmore to me, like the biggest names in the business, I have to put John Cena. Rock is a bigger name, but I think John Cena is a bigger name in the world of wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, like how many of my friends, like real life friends that I've talked to, but like, wow, because Rock's a big name, and like, okay, they didn't watch wrestling, so they don't really know as much, right? So then, but because of Hollywood, I had a couple of friends like, I really like The Rock. I liked him in this one role in this movie. I thought he was perfect in it, but none of them are like, I'm a super Rock fan.
Yeah.
Not one of them of my real life friends. I've gotten a couple people here and there in the conversations of like, man, he was so good in this role and Rock's so good at this and that. But it was never like, I would not compare his superstardom to John Cena. I can't. I've not met a real person that was like, man, because of his movie status, I'm trying to combine both. John Cena as a figure outside of WWE, Rock as a figure outside of WWE, and then now combine them with what they did and who they were in WWE. I still think John surpasses them.
I think John is getting close, but The Rock, I think, is just on such another crazy level. I just think so.
I'm just talking about his movies.
I think The Rock might be one of the most popular people in the world. Like where he could just go anywhere and people are just like, Rock.
That's The Rock, the eyebrow. But yeah, he was in a video game that I played. It was like the Sky of Five. They did nothing but have jabroni quotes in it, and it was a wrestler dude. And I swear it was smelling what he was cooking and all this stuff. Like, how did they not get sued?
No one
completely took his likeness. They so that's in Japan. These are developers from Japan that know he's big. But I haven't seen The Young Rock yet. But I heard that was really good.
It's very interesting. I think I went into it thinking it was going to be really cornball cheesy and I'm going to hate it. It's little cornball, not too cheesy, and I love it. So it's not accurate. Like I'm sure there's like I'm sure the stories happened. I think they've just changed names in it to make it feel more illustrious than what it really was.
Let me put it this way. Like I have some younger friends. So, people in their 20s, early 30s, but mostly in their 20s, like mid 20s. And when it comes to Rock and John Cena, they know Rock makes movies, but because of John Cena on SNL, because of certain things on the shows, because of even things to this day of like, hey, he made 650 Make-A-Wishes. The Nickelodeon stuff, like they grew up seeing him. Like I would say maybe the younger generation would be more about. It's too hard to call then.
And that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I think The Rock is. I think John Cena's on his way, but I think The Rock has like a higher the older generation kind of on lock because that's the guy we grew up watching. So he's there, and then young people they are getting to know him, but they didn't know him like we did. They know John Cena like we knew The Rock, so that's why they have that connection to him. But The Rock, the John Cena Rock thing from Mount Rushmore, my biggest thing is I do it myself, not just and I'm not just pointing fingers at everybody else. I do it myself. We forget that The Rock only wrestled like 6 years. And he was at the main event for like 3. He got to leave before his shtick got old and he had to like evolve with times. So if he never went to Hollywood, who knows where he would have ended up going? I'm sure he would have been fine. He was a superstar. But that short career kind of allows us to think of all the great because he didn't linger to where we could be like, well, he did this and he did that and he did that. John Cena, again, just he was on top for over 6 years. Yeah, he was on top longer than The Rock wrestled. So I'm not putting The Rock over John Cena. It ain't happening. And I think that would be cool. A 2 Mount Rushmore match. Like that's a big deal to me. And David said the best matches and stories in these types are passing. So I agree 100%. And again, if it was any other pay-per-view, I'd be like, no. But it's WrestleMania. It's there to be a big deal. And I think that would be a big, big deal. A match, again, another match that we're like, that's never going to happen. We're never going to get to see that match. And it's like, well, we will right now. Will it be what it could have been? No, but it's still fun to see those matches. But
I'd be good with it. Stone Cold and John Cena, as long as they promote it right and they're good at video packages, WWE, so they will. And John and Stone alone will promote it up, so it'd be more than good. So I'd be really happy about that as well, though.
All great matches. Again, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. You definitely want to do it in those scenarios where it's a passing of the torch. But the nostalgic factor, which is what WrestleMania basically lives off of, you kind of got to go with these matches if they're possible, because you're milking nostalgia that whole show. Like, this is the one night where we should all be accepting it, being like, you know what, this is like a celebration of wrestling. It's cool. But I would be cool with that match. But off the top of your head, because I didn't ask you this one, and we have the time to do so, do you have an opponent in mind for Stone Cold Steve Austin that you let's just go with you would want to see? I said I put him on the spot again.
Man, because I heard y'all talking about it earlier on just the weekly recap, but that is really, really hard, because like I'm not really big personally on some of these older guys coming back to fight unless they can do at least a medium style match. It doesn't have to be a great match, a good match, as long as it's decent. And I liked him in KO.
Okay, I was gonna say, like he gave us last year.
That was fun. That was good with KO, and KO built that so well. I love KO, man. He came out bald. What he did when he's impersonating Stone Cold. I love it. Made fun of Texas. It was great.
I think the greatest thing about the WrestleMania, just to cut in real quick, the greatest builded match last year for WrestleMania was Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Kevin Owens did the entire thing on his own. And that's how damn good that man is.
You're right. You're 100% right. He had one video response by a golf cart or something is what Stone Cold did.
He pulled up on his side-by-side. He gave a great promo. It's Stone Cold, son. I loved every bit of it. But Kevin Owens had to do everything else.
That's so true.
And it was awesome.
And then I would say Sammy, but Sammy's too predictable because you fought the other Canadian last year, man. You can't be hogging all the Canadians. You know, I don't think that's fair. Sammy's got bigger britches to britch. Yeah, I don't really have one, man. I don't know. I mean, the fact you just kind of sold me on John Cena versus Stone Cold. I mean, honestly,
I didn't mean to sell
awesome
you on the idea, man. I don't want to take Austin Theory and John Cena away. I just think it. Again, I've never really put it in those terms before, where WrestleMania is just—it's a celebration of wrestling. That I think is the perfect way to explain that show, and why we should, for at least for that one night, I think everybody should just be like, hey, let's just enjoy. If it's a good show, don't look too much into like old people being there and all this other stuff. It's a celebration. It's like wrestling is the greatest thing ever, and this is our dedication to it. As long as we're not doing any burials, don't have old guys beat the young guys. Have old guys wrestling old guys. Have young guys being the old guys. Do those ridiculous battle royals they used to do with Iron Sheik winning, even though he can't even freaking walk. Do silly shit like that. It's fine because it's a celebration. We're supposed to just be like, this is a good time. But then every other night of the year, they don't need to do that kind of shit. They need to stick to the show and don't glamorize it like they tend to do sometimes. But I rambled. Sorry. Go ahead.
I got one. Like I said earlier, I'll take JBL. I'll take JBL. Look, he's perfect. He's like crazy Texas guy who's being a jerk to everybody. And then you got like the Texas Homestar fan favorite. You got Stone Cold. I would love that. I would love a limousine coming out with JBL playing his damn music, and then he's like he's the bad guy of Texas versus the good guy of Texas. I'll take some JBL, man.
I think the only way that would work is if it was Baron Corbin that had to wrestle for JBL. And if they ever pitched Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Baron Corbin, that man ain't ever draw a dime in his life. I ain't wrestling that piece of shit. That's Stone Cold's response right there. He wouldn't wrestle Baron Corbin. That's not a knock on Baron Corbin. It's just that's not a match people are wanting to watch. So Stone Cold Steve Austin ain't doing it. He's not coming out for something like that. But after the podcast, I couldn't think of one earlier. I just threw out Sami Zayn's name because I just like Sami Zayn. I didn't really have a reason. So,
yeah.
But afterwards, I started thinking about it. And there is another marquee matchup. If we're not going to do John Cena versus Stone Cold, please don't. John Cena, Austin Theory, please do that. If you're not going to do Stone Cold, John Cena, there's another match that we never got. And you could do John Cena on the brain. He's staring at me behind my back right here. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Brock Lesnar. The match that Stone Cold walked out on. I was like, I ain't wrestling him for reasons, but not just because he didn't like him. I ain't wrestling him. So he walked out, and Brock Lesnar never got that match, never got that victory over Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold's back. Stone Cold loves Brock Lesnar. He's great friends with the man. Like, he thinks he's one of the greats. Like, he really thinks highly of Brock Lesnar.
Huh.
That match is going to make me some money, son. And that's the bottom dollar, not for just Brock, but for Stone Cold too. What's going to make me money? So, Brock Lesnar, Stone Cold Steve Austin, at this point in time, we'll see. Going into January, we'll have a better idea of where things are going, and I can probably come up with a better answer. Because I don't see Stone Cold coming back to lose ever. He's going to win. He's going to win. Unless it's Brock Lesnar, I think he would do the job for Brock, just out of respect for him. But I'll see where things are going and say, okay, well, that might be a better fit. But at this point in time, I think Stone Cold versus Brock Lesnar is a big money match that you put at WrestleMania. I joked earlier on this, the Elephant Room, Billy. I'm sure that's good. I don't think Stone Cold would do it. I think he saw what he did to Undertaker, and he's like, nah, son, they ain't going to work for me.
Ain't going to break my neck again.
No. If they did it, would I be mad? No. It was my dream match as a kid. I wanted to see them fight so bad. It would not be a good match. I don't think that at all. I think it would be garbage. But just to see Stone Cold stun him and pin him, yeah, thank you. You made my life. I've seen the one thing I never thought I'd get to see. So, but Brock Lesnar and Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think I think it's a real possibility at this point too. If Stone Cold is going to wrestle, I think Brock Lesnar is a match that he would definitely do. And where else is Brock going to be come WrestleMania season?
Yeah, that's a good point because, even on the Broken Skull sessions, Brock was like, he like flat out, I don't love wrestling in a sense. It's a business. I can't see a problem with a man trying to come in, make money, put food on his table, and do good at what he does, and then go home.
As long as he's not disrespecting the business. So.
Exactly. And Brock's all about the business too. He can see Stone Cold as a huge, huge money draw. And you were saying Stone Cold's thinking the same way. And these two guys are like, they're like kin, man. They both hunt and stuff. They were talking about it on the session.
Yeah, they're buddies.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that they joked about it and talked about it. Like, hey, could you imagine how much money we draw if we did this right? So,
and the story is there. The story is literally there. Like, you walked out last time. What makes me think you're not going to do it again? Stone Cold, I ain't never been a chicken, son. Like, it starts just like that, and then you're there. Just go with it. Like
that could be great as well. That makes more sense. We can get Theory and Cena.
Theory and John Cena, which needs to happen. Like,
and we know we're getting Rock and Roman, which if those are really the bills for these guys, that is, oh my God, wrestling fans are going to be so damn happy.
Who wants what do you think Triple H's main mission here is for this WrestleMania?
Blow it out of the water.
To make it the biggest and best WrestleMania of all time, the most memorable WrestleMania of all time. If you're telling me that 2 matches on your card are going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Brock Lesnar, that's huge. Those in themselves are huge. Then you're going to add Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, a match we've been waiting for 4 years, even though it's not really a match we desire to see anymore. It was a big deal at one point, and I'm sure once the promos start and the program starts, we'll be reinvested. That's my guess. I have that much faith in at least Becky Lynch to get us invested in it again. That's a huge match. And then all the other names that you're going to have at your disposal, like John Cena going against this new up-and-comer that you better get used to because he's going to be a superstar. This is the next guy. Like, tune into this guy. That's a marquee match that you show off in Hollywood. People in Hollywood are going to look at Austin Theory and be like, we want that guy. Like, So those four matches right there, that you got a good blueprint to start with those four matches, in my opinion, to make it like the biggest, grandest WrestleMania. It'll probably never be a bigger deal than 3 or 1. 1 will be hard to top. 3 will be hard to top. I don't think 17 is that hard to top anymore. Because we've seen some shows that have come pretty close. AEW had one. WrestleMania this year was pretty damn close. I might say it was better. But Triple H wants to eclipse it. He's got to swing and swing big. And I think those matches right there, or variations of them, maybe they have better ideas than I do. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. But maybe they have a better idea. And go with it. I have no issue with it. I think I've come to peace with it. I was like, it's a celebration. Don't be mad at anything they do. Just don't bury people. That's. I think I'm gonna enjoy WrestleMania a lot more from now on. David said he would like your thoughts on something.
What's the thoughts?
Saskatoon.
Why
I'm
does
just
that
joking.
sound
That's
familiar?
not what the thought. That's not what it was.
What the hell is the Saskatoon? Wasn't that?
I'm
I'm
just
thinking Saskatchewan. That's where Brock Lesnar hunts or
Yeah.
whatever lives.
He's typing it up. I'll get it to you in a second.
Saskatoon.
Saskatoon. He wants to know your thoughts on Saskatoon.
I'm not sure what that is. What the hell? Is
I would imagine it's a town up in the Great North.
Keep thinking Saskatchewan, whatever, where Brock Lesnar was. That's all I can think of when I saw that. Saskatchewan or something.
Yeah. So on my WrestleMania card, I got 16 matches total. And bro, it was hard. It was so hard.
I can imagine.
Because I feel bad when I leave people off cards. Not like WWE. WWE, we don't give a shit. Leave them off. I was like, no, I got to put people on. How can we make this the greatest show of ever? I can't wait to shit. I'm gonna make my own graphics like WrestleBuddy and be like, look at my WrestleMania card.
While we're talking about the 16-time champion and Flair stuff, I want Charlotte Flair to fight 2 people, either Mako or just go back to Bayley, since officially Becky and Ronda should happen. But Mako Satomura versus Charlotte, or Mako versus Bayley, because Bayley gave mad props to Mako. And that she said, I'm scared when I see Mako wrestle. Like, it scares me. I would like to see that happen for Charlotte. Yeah, I'm a Charlotte fan.
Okay, so Saskatoon is where Brock currently lives.
Okay,
so that's where it was. Okay, I thought it was Saskatchewan.
Maybe
that's the same thing. Maybe that's how they spell it.
Like, would I want to live there?
You know what? That actually, no, that's not what he was asking about. Maybe that's how it's spelled. We were just saying the word wrong. I hope not. I really hope not. I hope I don't look like a complete idiot on here. Omega vs. Ospreay was just announced for Wrestle Kingdom. The story has been known for 4 years with a lot of backstory. Thoughts? What are your thoughts on Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay over in New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom? Wrestle Kingdom's their big WrestleMania-like show, I believe.
So to say it quickly, I know nothing about Ospreay and Omega because I don't watch them. They're not part of the WWE product. And I love all wrestling. The problem is I'm limited with time. The things that I have seen on Omega, and I've seen some little clips of him, supposedly he's just a badass. And like Nick said, during the pay-per-view, no one can touch him in between those ropes. I disagreed immediately, but I haven't really seen him. I think, and then Ospreay, David showed me some of his matches. That dude is it. Talk about Mello or JD McDonough. Ospreay is up there, man. That dude is amazing. And then if he really is everything and they got a good backstory, yeah, I think y'all were talking about that could be a immediate match of the year contender for 2023. So I'm definitely gonna find a way to watch it. I want to see if Kenny Omega really puts out when it comes to those PLEs.
Okay, so here we weren't wrong. He does live in Saskatchewan because Saskatoon is the city that's in the Saskatchewan is the province. So we were still right. And we didn't look like fools.
David's trolling.
Question that might have made me look like a fool.
David's
anyway, what I would like to go ahead and clarify what I meant earlier about Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega. Are those two more athletically gifted than any other wrestler in professional wrestling? Quite possibly, yes. I think a name that gets left out of the ability department that those guys are being ranked on is Ricochet.
Yeah.
I know he's not as big a name as they are. He's just not. He has no charisma. He can't do what they do to a sense. But as far as in the ring, I think he deserves a nod in there. But when I look at in ring, I'm not just looking at in ring ability. I'm looking at pacing. I'm looking at storytelling and all the selling, all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why I have Seth above those guys. I wasn't just shitting on him at all because I think Will Ospreay is great now. I didn't used to like him. I used to think he too Ricochet to me. He's changed, he's evolved, and he is fantastic now. Love Will Ospreay. Not a knock on him at all.
But Seth
he said he'll give you the backstory on it in a bit, Tidey. I think Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega, not that much, but on Twitter, they've been going back and forth recently, and I think it was before the suspension stuff. I don't think he was doing it during the suspension, but they've been talking shit to each other online. And Will Ospreay cooks Kenny Omega every single time. It's fantastic. He said he wants another match with Ricochet. Let's see it. Like, I would love to see it now with the different style that Will Ospreay wrestles with. He mixes in that stuff a little bit, but it's not enough to make me go like, okay, stop. I think he's fantastic now. I just think Seth Rollins is it.
So when you say it that way, it makes me think like, because I pay attention to it here and there, but if I'm enjoying the match and how fluid it is, like I notice when something's off, when I just notice something's off.
Yeah.
And then I can rewind and look at like, oh, the way he takes the hit there, or the pacing's really bad towards the end. How are you not winded? And why is this not a good back and forth at the end, etc. I mean, but yeah, I really can't recall of anything of Seth has ever done that I was like, man, look at him, he's messing up. I haven't. And he fights, like you said, he fights big dudes too. Seth
early in his top run, early in his first run at the top, he injured a few people. Seth used to be a little bit reckless and everything.
Oh,
but
shit.
he's perfected his craft. He's it now. Like, again, that's my opinion on it. I don't watch Ospreay and Omega as much as other people. I'll say I watch Omega as much as everyone now. I watch the product, so I watch him wrestle. And he's interested me enough to where I'll tune in if he goes and wrestles AAA Mania or Impact, or when he wrestles at Wrestle Kingdom, I'll tune in to watch it. And Will Ospreay, again, I think is fantastic. But I think you just hit it right on the head with the pacing. I don't like when the pacing goes down and then it just goes into overdrive. And those guys get it towards the end. Is it impressive? Absolutely. It's absolutely marvelous.
But I've seen that
not
seldomly.
My thing.
I've seen it seldomly when that works. It's it very seldomly works for me when they just really pick up towards the end, but they still look tired as shit while they're doing it. It's really hard to pull off, but I like it every now and then.
I think when you get a short burst and then after the burst is over, they kind of just collapse. That's adrenaline kicking in. I get it 100%. I don't like the pedal to the metal and we're not letting go till somebody's done, baby. Okay, so slow down. Slow down. Ospreay took out Ibushi, was part of the Golden Lovers with Omega at Wrestle Kingdom. I think that was the beginning of the Will Ospreay Kenny Omega thing. Was matched with Naito and Okada with 7%. Again, yes, he has. I went from literally despising watching his matches to loving his matches. I think he's great. His match with Orange Cassidy is one of my favorite matches of the year. It was beautiful. It made me start to like Orange Cassidy again too. So that's how good the match was. And then Omega issued the challenge in Japanese fluidly. Omega speaking Japanese is wild because it's legit. It is like legit. That man was born and raised there. That's how how fluid it is. It's so good. But we've hit the hour mark. We got a few other things in. I'm glad we've got to talk about extra stuff. So that was good. And we're not too far over the hour mark. So with that, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it as always. If you're not subscribed to the channel, get on that business. You know what time it is. Do translates to subscribe to the Drip King of Wrestling. And then we're here every Sunday. So you can check it out every Sunday. We'll talk about all the good stuff, none of the bad stuff. We're here to talk about positivity and stuff and whatnot, you know. So tomorrow on the WrestleBuddy channel, not channel, the WrestleBuddy channel, I will be back with the Raw recap. So come drop in, say hello, talk about the show with me. I appreciate it when people jump in. I like the conversation. So other than that, it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us once again, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.